First on CBS Mornings is Ukraine's foreign minister. That's Dmytro Kuleba. Good morning, Minister. Thank you very much for being here. I'll shake your hand. This bridge attack. Crimea is part of Ukraine before Russia annexed it. It would stand to reason in a war that you're behind the attack, your country. Is that true?
Well, I learned about the incident from the news because of the time difference, so I don't have any official information. But the truth is that one broken Russian bridge means fewer broken Ukrainian lives, because this bridge is being used to supplement Russian army in the occupied Crimea and the occupied territories of the south of Ukraine with additional resources.
We mentioned the NATO summit there at the end of the introduction. On the one hand, it was disappointing because there's no clear timeline for Ukraine's entry into NATO. On the other hand, the message was that the future for Ukraine is in NATO. So where are you on the question of that summit? Was it disappointing or something else?
Well, overall, the results of the summit were good because our path to NATO was shortened and we introduced a new mechanism, the NATO-Ukraine Council. But of course, we wanted more clarity on when. The most important question is not how, it's when. And on that particular question, there is no clear answer, but we received very strong assurances, including from the US leadership, that Ukraine will be in NATO, and we will be working on making it rather sooner than later.
On the question of when, it's open-ended, in part because you're engaged in a war with Russia right now. Can you understand why leaders of countries in the West don't want to court open conflict with Russia? And if they were to include Ukraine in NATO right now, it would mean World War III today.
Oh, that argument makes perfect sense. But the important element is that at that summit, we were not discussing immediate accession of Ukraine into NATO. We were talking about procedural extension of invitation with the understanding that Ukraine would become a member of NATO after the war ends. As of now, we are not dragging anyone into the war. We have a very clear deal offered to our partners. You give us weapons and we do the rest of the job, so that you don't have to fight if Russia decides to move further and attack you. I think it makes a lot of sense.
One of the things that Ukraine gives the world is grain, which is helping to alleviate a global hunger crisis. As of today, this morning, I believe, Russia says it is suspending a deal that was allowing Ukraine to export grain out of the Black Sea port ways. What do you make of that suspension? What's it going to take to get those ports open again?
Well, Russia has been slowly killing the grain initiative from one extension to another. You have to know one number. Last year, when the Black Sea Grain Initiative was introduced, grain prices in the world dropped by 20%. So the immediate outcome of non-suspension, non-extension of the agreement will mean that prices for grain all across the globe will go up. And people in the most vulnerable regions of Asia, Africa, they will feel it. And this is the result of Russian actions.
Well, presumably Russia knows that, wants that outcome on some level for some reason. You know they're watching this as well. What's your message to Russia this morning?
Stop playing Hunger Games with the people around the world. That's very simple, because it's impossible to fully compensate the blockade of Ukrainian ports by inland routes. So Russia is using hunger as an instrument to blackmail the world, pursuing its own commercial interests. Stop playing Hunger Games.
Can you give the American people and the American political establishment a real, honest gut check on how this war is going? Are you winning this war?
We are. That's it. We are. But you have to understand that for us, war is a reality. For others, it's a reality show. And of course, when you watch a reality show, you want things to develop in a very fast track manner. But for us, it's a daily struggle. But every day we move forward. We advance in the south. We advance in the east. We solve problems created by the Russian aggression. One of the key and the most devastating issues is, of course, more than 19,000 of Ukrainian kids being deported and abducted by Russia. 494 Ukrainian kids had been killed in the course of this war. So there are tons of issues that you need to solve, and it takes time.
And Minister, that's why there's support among the American people for aid to Ukraine, military and otherwise. On the Republican side, politically, the two leading candidates for the Republican nomination for president, these are people who could be president in 2025, are not staunch supporters of unending aid for Ukraine. It's not clear exactly what their policy would be, but it's not assured as it would be under the current administration. What's your message to those candidates and others who might pull funding?
Well, first, I want to thank the people of America for their support, because we feel it, not only in the decisions that the Congress and the administration are making, but also in the way American people sympathize Ukrainians and wish them to win in this war and to end this suffering. When it comes to your elections, I mean, this is your internal affair, but our traditional support here is based on bipartisan principle. So both Republicans and Democrats support us, and I'm sure that the Republicans will find a way to convince their president, if he wins, to continue with the policy of supporting Ukraine.
All right, that makes one of us. Dmytro Kuleba, thank you very much, Minister, for being here. Appreciate your words.
Even when